Hello and welcome to another merry episode of The Modern Nerd. I am Sir Slice.
I'm merchandise.
I'm GJC. We're all
And
pausing.
we are, as always, massive nerds. So, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We're coming to you live from the snow here, and somehow there's still a fireplace in the snow, but we're doing it. We're going through the multiverse. We're bending dimensions, and we're bringing you a very Merry Christmas holiday episode. Now we're going to talk about a bunch of things here because we're making it up as we go. So get ready for the roller coaster ride that is this episode. Before we get into that, I want to thank all of you for watching. We've had a wonderful time in the last couple of years doing this live on YouTube, or even previous to that on the Spotify channel. Though all those new episodes are up, minus the last one or two, but go ahead and check that out as well. So if you've watched and you're enjoying it, please like and subscribe. We love it to hear your opinions. Leave us a comment, talk to us, follow the socials and say, hey, you guys are great, or hey, you guys are dumb and I don't know why I listen. We don't care. We like it. Thank you very much for doing it. So today we are going to be talking about holiday episodes. Now, what constitutes a holiday episode? I don't know. This could be a holiday. It could be anything about Christmas, about the season, the spirit, the joy of gift giving and coming together with family and loving and having a good time. It could just be a movie that takes place on Christmas, Die Hard, but it still has the kind of spirit that you want. Someone who is going to an obligation they didn't want to, and it escalates into things that go crazy, which is pretty much the definition of everybody's holiday party with their family. So I would say stick to things that happen, movies that take place, shows that take place on a holiday, or if we want to get more specific, things that are about holidays and stuff like that. So without any further ado, let's go. Who's got a holiday tradition that they like to do? Is there anyone that watches? Oh no, I'm sorry. Let's back up. Think about that. But let's talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Very on
This is
brand.
what
We're going to keep
sparked
it
the
nerdy.
conversation.
Yeah, we're going to keep it very nerdy and stay on brand. While it's snowing here, we'll get some holiday specials for you. I watched this when it came out, and it was fun.
It was hilarious.
It was a fun romp. It was really funny. If you watched our last show, we talk about what value did it bring. Not a ton, but it was entertaining. It was an entertaining romp through it. I enjoyed that. There's not much I can break it down and tear it apart all day. And there's only one thing I'll say is when you bring these characters to Earth, sometimes it can kind of feel goofy. It for a moment in the middle there, it gave me a very the first Thor movie vibe, where it just like Mantis and Drax are on Earth going to like a bar and like trying to find Kevin Bacon, and it felt very out of place. Like it didn't feel like this was a movie that was happening. Other than that, it opened with one of the greatest Christmas songs ever recorded, which was just phenomenal. Because it was from people who didn't understand what Christmas was, and if you interpret the signs of Christmas, it's a very fucking weird holiday, and that's pretty much what they got at.
Especially
so that was entertaining.
if it's like second, third hand,
stories.
stories.
There's a big dude who breaks into people's houses.
What?
There's
How does he
stockings.
fit?
Are they
Okay.
murder? Like
That's
it
not
had
creepy.
a very like Nightmare Before Christmas vibe, where they don't quite understand it, but they're doing the best they can to figure it out.
Fun little fact here's not a tradition. Fun little fact about me and my family. My parents didn't like preface to us as children who Santa Claus was or when or why he was coming. So all of a sudden we have presents and they go, "Oh, Santa Claus was here," and he has a big white beard, and we're like, some man was in our house. We got freaked out as children. We were crying. So the concept of Santa Claus is inherently kind of weird, but here we are. Most sacred.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There uh overall it was a fun little story. I'd say the only thing you gain from the Christmas special was you learned that Mantis and Peter are brother and sister, half brother and sister, which I think I'm like that's going to probably have implications in the movie. So, it's like this is an extended end credit scene. Essentially, is what this special was just like a fun little here's a romp. Kevin Bacon exists, and
It's not
and
that big of a spoiler
apparently
because
so does Superman.
it's
No,
not
Batman.
that big of a spoiler because she says it like literally right away in the
Yeah,
beginning of the movie.
not a spoiler, but
So
it does kind of tie it in, which is nice.
yeah.
Is that how that works? In DC world, there are Marvel characters are in comic books,
There's-
and in Marvel world, they're DC characters in comic books. Is that
I think in the Marvel world they still have Marvel comic books
right? But
because
they're real.
yes, but they also have DC comic books, but they're fake.
Yeah,
Yeah, which I thought was kind of.
just putting that just so I
Yeah.
can make sure I
I
get
always,
that right.
I always find that funny when they
This
reference
is
each other, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I see what you did there, you son of a bitch."
this is their this is their third outing at a Christmas MCU type thing. The first one being Iron Man 3, the second one being Hawkeye, and now this
Okay.
is the third one. So I think the third one is by far the best one out of the three, the Christmas things that Marvel's done. But you would say Iron Man 3 more or less a little bit. It was a kind of a redemption story, Christmas one, and then Hawkeye happened. You could say at Christmas time, but also like he's trying to get home, and it had that Die Hard feel too, and all this other, So okay, Christmassy too. But this is by far the best one because in many ways they were like, "This is a full Christmas movie. We're gonna freaking do it." Like they didn't even hold back. They just were like, "We're gonna have a ridiculous song. It's gonna be all just misconstrued, a big misunderstanding. Like everything is just no one understands anything about this holiday, Like, and that's what made it so funny."
After seeing the first Guardians of the Galaxy, if you told me, my younger self, "Hey, they're actually gonna have Kevin Bacon meet Star-Lord one day after all the references," I'd be like, "That's awesome!" And here it is. It happened. It's a Christmas miracle, and it's so weird and hilarious and unexpected. And the only sad part about it is now Kevin Bacon can never play an MCU character.
I'm sure. And yeah,
Sure he can.
Universe, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it depends on what they do. He's technically played a Fox superhero, supervillain already. So if they make that all canon, then he was Sebastian Shaw and Kevin Bacon
Yeah, who knows?
because he was already in. He was in First Class.
We'll see.
So
Well, and that's okay. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do with that. That is interesting.
we really don't know what
I
they're
think
gonna
a good segue into that would be something that's also Disney owned and also Christmassy. I think we all love is like the for a movie would be like Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it's one of those ones that like, man, it's a hard one to knock off the pedestal. It's like that sets the bar for like what you really really enjoy about it. I think most of us grew up watching that, and it was like that's the Christmas movie for our generation, right? Obviously, there's like time tested, like like Christmas Carol and like It's a Wonderful Life. Those are like probably our parents' generation of like time. What would they think is like the quintessential cinema holiday Christmas style movie? But for our generation, it was Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know what it was. It was like the coolest thing that I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. I think that was my first exposure to real clay animation. Like real in the long term. I seen like little things like Gumby and like short little things, and like there was that penguins thing, the Japanese penguin episodes that were done with clay animation. But this was the first time I've seen anything to that extent. And it was my kind of exposure being fresh off the boat. I was like, what is this weird Christmas thing that's going on that these Americans have? It's called Nightmare Before Christmas. And what's great about it is it's not just a Christmas film, it's also a Halloween film. So you can watch it for 3 months straight.
It's one of the more unique movies that are in our lexicon. Like it's one of my favorite movies of all time. You can ask anybody.
It's weird.
I will say that it was so ahead of its time for me personally as a kid. I didn't particularly enjoy it as a kid. It kind of creeped me out a little bit, and I wasn't all that into songs and movies back then. And It's definitely a movie upon reflection, getting older, that I appreciate more and more as time goes
Oh
by.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
My
no,
niece
it's
loves it. I showed it
fantastic.
to her and she was like, "What is this?" Because she really
Good
is
man.
into creepy stuff. Her brother's like not into it, but it depends on how old you are and like if you're open, if your own personality as a kid. But like
Yeah.
I could see how that for like a whole generation, like when it came out,
Yeah.
kids gravitated towards it.
Like, one of the biggest reasons I didn't like it as a kid, the boogeyman freaked me out.
Oh
And
yeah.
to this day,
Oh
seeing
man.
it, like, it elicits a response for me, because I remember feeling frightened as a child and not
Sure.
enjoying that feeling. And so that scene I've never really enjoyed. I appreciate the music and the song, but from a visual standpoint, I still don't care for it. If I'm watching it by myself ever, I will skip that scene, unfortunately.
Oh, that's like my absolute favorite
It's a
scene.
great scene, but
I
I
love
just
it.
it's like not childhood trauma, but it's just like
No, yeah,
revisiting childhood
triggering.
feelings of being like, I don't remember feeling good. This doesn't feel good now, and it's
Yeah,
it was scary.
yeah. So, what
Dualities. It's a
thing?
film that of dualities. It's a Christmas film and a
Yeah,
Halloween film. It's a
it's
scary
one of
film,
the
but it's also wonderful and
it's
happy and comedy. It's just a
one of the
film of
few that's able to
dualities.
do that. Yeah, there's not a lot of movies that can
And of course,
do
it's Tim
both
Burton.
those
So
things. Well, yeah, Burton.
that's a
When he was
whole
when he was good.
podcast in itself for that man.
Yeah.
We
It
should do
is.
that. We should do that
I'm
also.
100% down.
The fall of Tim
Because
Burton.
Wednesday, we got you guys. We can talk about Wednesday.
Well, but and then possible. Did you guys watch Wednesday?
Oh
Just
yeah, I've
out
seen it
of
like
the
50
blue?
times already because my
It's
niece won't
so
stop
good.
playing it.
It's
Really?
so good.
I have not seen it. Okay.
You
It's
should watch it.
fantastic.
We were
Anyway,
watching it for movie night.
Yeah, Mouse. It says it's so good, and I couldn't agree more. It's fantastic. So, uh, traditions. Screaming the word tradition around holidays is my sister's tradition. She will literally come in because what's that from? It's from a musical, and she'll just come up with a tradition, and you're like, oh my god, Maggie, stop! For the love of God. It's just something
I
to
can
do.
imagine her doing it.
That's so
As
great.
as a kid, yeah, George could picture it. You probably have heard it many times and
think
just
I
tuned
have.
it out. As kids, for me, before we get into the movie stuff, my sister and I were always the ones that were deemed the tree decorators, and so it started off very innocent. We would listen to like Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas album, and like have the Grinch on in the background, the animated one, that kind of stuff. And then right when we kind of hit like 11, 12, right in that range, it started to become like we were listening to like what was that song, Black Betty, by the Deep Purple, and we started listening to like Led Zeppelin and the Who. Like that was the Christmas music we would put on, and then it became more Frank Sinatra and Dean and like those people. So it really kind of the taste in music that we always had, because when you decorate, you have to be in the mood. You got it. You can't just be like mindless putting on ornaments.
That's
So
me.
the music that we would play was very Christmassy in the beginning, and then it very much became just like let's rock out and decorate the Christmas tree, and it was good times. It was good times, and then we would sit down, find TBS, because all day on TBS every year from like 1990, from like 19 whenever this movie
Not
existed till
sponsored.
now, is A Christmas Story, is what we would watch. It was always on 24s. It just repeated, repeated, repeated. So if you caught the beginning of it, but you had to go away to help mom with the yams or something in the middle, you could come back. Oh, I missed it. You come back and you just watch it again because it'll be on later. So I picked up the first time I sat down and watched that movie all the way through. It was weird because I had seen it like, here's 20 minutes, here's the next 20 minutes 4 hours later, here's the next 20 minutes 3 hours later. And so like I caught it in pieces, but I saw it all the way through. But then I was like, I don't know where I caught it. So then I watched it all the way through. I'm like, wait, this happens first? I thought that came out, because it was all out of place in my mind. So it was really fun. But A Christmas Story, it was very much a family tradition growing up in my household. There's many more, but
Nice.
we'll get to them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Smurf family household, very traditional Christmas. Finally broke away from the goddamn turkey dinner thing. But everything's pretty typical. I don't have many. The only couple of unique things for Tim's Christmas Story, I see you with my It's a Wonderful Life. Except it was more sacred. It we sat down and watched it. And if whatever point it was, we just finished it. As long as we got to the part, before he, jumps off the bridge, and we see that part. And one thing that I like to remind people, and everyone seems to forget, is he's running around that second half of that movie, appreciating his wonderful life, stinking drunk, because he spent
drunk.
He spent about a good, I don't even know how long, an hour in the bar drinking before. So he's running around, hey, where the kids, where I love you, bar. Like it's a fun little fact to me. That movie I could endlessly quote. I would say the only other tradition, despite that, is me yelling different random Christmas quotes at my sister, which include Toodles from Quokka, it's snowing, or let's see, what else is there? I mean, I yell the when he's at the bar, when it turns into Nick's bar, we serve hard drinks here for men who want to get drunk fast. Or
What? What's that from?
That's from It's a Wonderful Life, when it turns into
sure.
Nick's, and he's like, I'll have a mold of wine. So he's like, so I don't know who you think you are. Anyway, I love that. And the last one, the one most often uttered in the Smirch household, sometimes just creep around the corner, just ho ho ho.
Christmas Story.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so not much, but good times.
That's a lot.
I mean, I have many more, but
and watching It's a Wonderful Life. That's not traditions, I guess, but I took with it what I had.
I'm gonna cut off George's, because George's Christmas tradition was very much tied in at one point with my Christmas tradition.
Yeah, I pretty much go to my friends' houses.
Yeah, he would come over to my house Christmas morning.
I go to Tim's house. I go to other people's. We have a lot. Like most of my I would say we have a lot of friends who don't celebrate Christmas. They're Jewish, so I would hang out with my Jewish friends.
Yeah,
we go out. Yeah. We go eat. We most things. I think most things aren't closed. They might be closed early on Christmas, but they're not closed around where we live on Christmas. You could still go to a lot of places where we grew up. So,
yeah,
movie theaters were still open, things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it was nice because it was in the wintertime. I do remember spending a few holidays, especially Christmas, where we went with our not people who didn't have to celebrate, or Jewish friends, non-Christmassy friends, to go see a movie or whatever, but or go out to eat and hang out. It wasn't yeah, you still hung out on Christmas with your friends.
Yeah, I never really did the whole go to a movie on Christmas thing. I know that it's Smirch. I know you guys have done that in the past.
We saw all three Lord of the Rings in succession with my uncle, 1 year after the other, Christmas Eve, 3 years in a row.
That's kind of cool.
It was great.
Lord of the Rings is not even Christmassy.
I know, but it was I remember that first movie.
Time.
It's crazy.
They always would drop fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
As I grew older and found a deeper appreciation for other things, amongst Home Alones and Elves and all that stuff, I started watching, which we'll get into those, but I started watching Die Hard every Christmas day. I would subject my family to watch Die Hard on one of the TVs. They had no choice, and eventually they were just like, "Oh, it's time to put on Die Hard." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." And George, you would watch it with me as well, and on some days and stuff when we would do it. But we would always wake up, do the Christmas presents, do whatever, have the coffee, that kind of stuff. And then I would just be like, all right, cool, we're good. Let's just rip one and watch Die Hard and have a good time. That was it. It was a cool, because some families do Christmas dinner, some families do Christmas breakfast or lunch or a festive thing. My family did Christmas Eve at my grandparents' house, and we all got together and we did all this stuff. So Christmas morning we would have this apple pancake, which was not a pancake. It's this Dutch type item, and it's this really fluffy crust of a pie with a pie filling type thing, but not exactly. And it was so scrumptious and delicious. And we'd have Swedish pancakes in the morning, and then we had nothing. Like George said, we had nothing to do for the next 10 hours, and so we would just
go hang out.
Yeah, hang out. I'd hit up people, and eventually there was a small tradition for a couple of years before I moved away. It was actually me, you, and Ryan Hurlbutt we went and played disc golf like 2 or 3 years in a row on Christmas or
Yeah.
Christmas Eve. We would throw some disc. We would just hang out. It was
Oh
some of the
man.
most relaxed, comforting, especially when you play with Hurlbutt. This was
Yeah.
Disc
so
golf.
relaxed because he gets so angry, but he, but we were
Didn't
just
happen
like,
a lot,
hey
but when
man,
it did,
we would
yeah.
just have a good time, and it was relaxing, and I loved it. So, Christmas movies. Um, I think one of the biggest ones for our generation, George mentioned Nightmare Before Christmas, but it has to be mentioned is Home Alone. Like
Of course.
it was John Hughes or Christopher Columbus, excuse me, Chris Columbus, and it was filmed. To this day, I tell people I went to church, or I went to this Boy Scouts in that church. Oh, I know where the Winnetka train station is. Like, I was just doing it to my wife the other day, and I was like, oh, that's a nice place. Like, that whole movie was filmed in our home area, our county, our little Cook County, Illinois, northern suburbs
Or
of
township.
Wilmette, Winnetka, Kenilworth, like all of these
It's
things.
township.
So, yes, township. So we just really sunk into that as children and loved it, and I still watch it to this very day. And it might be one of the best Christmas movies ever made. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's classics like you mentioning a Wonderful Life, White Christmas with Bing Crosby. Like, there's some great movies, but Home Alone is generational. Like, everybody watches it. I live in England, and people, it's like number 10, it's in top 10 in for the last 2 weeks here in England. Like,
Amazing.
it's amazing movie. So
It is.
it has,
Home Alone.
yeah, it's fantastic. What other
And
top movies?
dude, you took the words out of my mouth. That's the only two movies I plan on talking about in this podcast. Were It's a Wonderful Life, which is not only one of my favorite Christmas movies, but my favorite movies in general.
It's a great movie.
And Home Alone. I mean, it was the right time for when we were seeing it, and you got Kevin McAllister eating gigantic bowls of ice cream. I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. Someone will come out and stop me. Like, I love that movie, and I will say I don't know how many Christmas movies have sequels, but I would submit that this is the only true acceptable sequel to a really solid Christmas movie, and with maybe not as good, but still a solid sequel in Home Alone: Lost in New York as well. Is also, I think, a great Christmas
Solid.
movie. Yeah.
I will see you sequels, and it's a much newer movie, but Christmas Chronicles.
Oh, the
1
sequel to
and
Christmas
2.
Chronicles?
They're
Okay.
both I mean, Christmas Chronicles 1 is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend Kurt Russell as Santa Claus, hands down. But the sequel was fun. It's good.
Yeah.
It's about the exact. You're like, oh, Home Alone 2. It was fun. It was
Yeah.
good. So yeah, solid.
I'll check
But
that
yeah,
out.
I can't
I
think
like
of
Christmas
many
Chronicles.
other. I can't think of many other movies. George, can you think of any Christmas movies that had a sequel?
Well, I mean, there's Santa Claus 2 and stuff.
Santa
but,
Claus
watched
too.
it.
I was going to
Actually,
start
those are
talking
pretty
about
good.
it. I started
Yeah,
watching the
those are
show
pretty
as
good.
well.
I haven't
Oh.
watched it yet. I want to though. I'm
It's
gonna
a good
watch it
show.
soon.
I like it.
Yeah,
Tim
nice.
Allen as the Santa Clauses. Those are always.
It's just
It's
it's
goofy.
weird that it's Tim Allen because he's
It
not
is.
a good person. Like he's not.
He's really
Like
not.
he's an he's an outspoken Republican and Trump supporter, and like he's had a lot of run-in with like the law in the past
true.
and coke, and he's very misogynistic in a lot of his views. But that movie is ingrained in me. I've seen that movie almost as much as I've seen Home Alone. Like, it's fucking weird that I'm like, yeah, like I will watch
really
that
like the
movie
movie.
every year.
I like the character and I like the show. So that's all
Yeah,
I can say.
I mean, I want to watch it. I definitely do. What about newer stuff? Anybody seen any newer movies that have come out that stand out? I have one, but I'll wait. I want to see if anybody's seen it.
Okay, so I haven't actually seen it, and I plan on watching it. I put it off last year and I didn't watch it, and I know it's good because multiple people. It is a good feel-good
Excited to hear
movie.
this.
Klaus. On
That's
Netflix.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I love
Mouse
that movie.
really liked it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah,
Oh man,
we're gonna watch it together this year for Christmas.
I cried so hard.
Yeah.
It's just so good, and it's funny though. It's weird because if you haven't seen it, it's an animated movie, and it kind of I won't spoil anything, but it's like an origin story kind of as you've seen in other things. but it's like it's just so good. I won't say much more. I won't, because I want you to watch it, and I'll get carried away and say something stupid. Um, but yeah, Klaus was fantastic. Has anyone seen or does anybody want to go see Violent Night with David Harbour? And it's out in theaters right now, like currently. And it's where like like a family is being like held hostage, like some terrorists break into some family's house, and they're led by John Leguizamo, and then Santa just so happens to be in the area and like
At a
goes into the
bar.
house, and like yeah, and he like goes into the house and like is trying to like save the day. He's like, oh, I'm gonna leave because it's not my business, but then he gets roped into like fighting these terrorists and like just kicking ass left and right, David
It's
Harbour style.
hilarious.
It's like Hellboy meets Christmas. It's what it looks. I want to see it. I haven't seen it,
Santa
but
is a killer. I love it.
it would pull me
Okay.
into the world.
All right. Sure. Why not, man?
What
You
what are
know?
some what are
I
some
think
bad Christmas movies?
I think, of course,
Ooh.
we gotta talk about. I was just gonna say this. We gotta talk about something like it's an interesting genre, right? Like to try to do a Christmas film because there's so many out there, so many good ones, so many bad ones, and like it's also a genre that's like everything's been done before, right? But I think a lot of people, a polarizing one would be like Jingle All the Way with like Arnold, right? Like that is in many ways it's also the most quintessential Christmas movie, right?
I
Like
watch
this
it
is
all the
like how
time.
you try to make a formula
No.
of a like there were so many Christmas movies that just follow kind of a formula or a storyline, and this was it. And they just were like, we're gonna insert Arnold into this formula and see what comes out at the end.
He is so proud of that movie.
I know.
It's so fun to
I love
hear him
it.
talk about Jingle All the
Jingle All
Way.
the
Love
Way.
him.
Like hearing him talk about it makes me love the movie. Like it's just so fun. It's a
Oh my god.
stupid movie, but I watch it
Man,
every
man,
year.
get it.
Put the cookie down now.
Dude, it's
Oh
so
god.
full of quotes. It's so see.
I
We
just
gotta
want a
end
turtle, man. I'm not a puppet.
Forget it. I'm not sitting on your lap.
Like, just,
It's got Kevin Nash as a giant Santa Claus in it.
Oh, I
He's
forgot
in,
Jingle
he's
about
in that.
that.
He's in.
I probably
Oh,
didn't
no,
even
it's
know who he
it's a
was.
big show. It's a big show.
Big
Sorry.
show. Okay.
Big show.
I probably didn't even know who he
Jingle
was
the
back
way.
then. That's so funny.
I
I
did
mean,
for
see,
sure.
I have movies that aren't that good, but like that's the bad Christmas movie. I mean, at least for us. I mean, I could
Yeah.
say stuff like Jack Frost, was just like meh, and like
The Michael Keaton one.
yeah, the Polar Express, just
It's a good movie, but it does not age
what is
well.
that Nicolas Cage movie? That's like a
What?
Christmas one.
What?
Oh. It's like a weird, like, what if, like,
Family Man.
maybe it's like a time traveling, or like what would happen if he didn't, like, if he actually, he was like, he plays like a businessman, but this is like a what if would it happen if he
Oh.
woke up and became like a family man
Yeah.
instead. Yeah, is it called
Yeah.
Family Man? Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it
I
is.
never saw it.
It's a good movie.
It sounds like It's a Wonderful Life kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
a lot of films are okay. So a lot of Christmas films, I feel like, are a rehash of existing stories, right? Of
Sure.
Christmas films. It's always A Wonderful Life or A Christmas Carol or something else. And it's like their version. And so that leads me to one of my
The
favorites.
Muppets is
It's the Muppets Christmas Carol. It's Mouse's favorite. We watch it every single year together. It's like freaking. I don't think I appreciated it as much when I was a kid because I was kind of, to be honest, I was a little scared of puppets as a kid. I had a
That's
thing
fair.
about puppets as a kid. Some of them freaked me out, so I didn't watch a lot of puppet stuff when I was a kid. But
That's hilarious.
I could appreciate this definitely a lot more nowadays.
That was a
So
good one. That was a solid one.
yes, the Muppets Christmas
What a-
Carol. But there's a lot of variations out there, of different Christmas Carol style stories
Yeah.
and Wonderful Life story. But also, I would like to talk about a TV episode
Yeah.
of Wonderful Life / Christmas Carol. Is like one of the ones that's still embedded to me is like the Batman animated Christmas one with the Joker. For some reason, to this day,
It's good-
I
that's
could
a good
still.
episode.
I don't know why that like it has an apartment building or like in my brain of weird childhood memories, but for some reason, like to this day, weird things about that show like pop up, and that is one of the things is a random Joker Christmas.
Jingle bells, Batman smells,
Yeah.
Robin laid an egg, the Batmobile lost its
Kids
way on
sing
Joker.
that all the time.
Dude, okay, Can we confirm if that came from that episode of Batman, or was that a thing before the Batman episode? Because
I have
I
no
remember
idea.
singing that shit. Everyone was singing. The Joker took ballet. Apparently, everyone was singing that all over the place. And then when I saw that, it was years later until I saw it, unfortunately. But I was kind of like, "Whoa, is that where this is from?"
Yes, I don't know.
That was I don't hear
Batman.
I don't hear Jingle Bells anymore. I don't know about you guys. I hear Jingle Bells, Batman
Me
smells.
too.
Robin.
Oh, sure.
Me too.
That is important.
It is a universally recognized version of Jingle Bells. That's all I'm gonna say. Is it's in the lexicon of songs that are allowed to be sung.
Yep.
How do you guys feel about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? I absolutely love this movie. If you say what you will about Chevy Chase, because he's also a dick. But the movies for me was classic. I like that more than I like National Lampoon's Vacation, and that is a revered comedy amongst 70s and 80s aficionado comedy people. But I like the Christmas one more, and it just lands for me. It just lands. A man with his family, both sides of his family coming to live under his roof, and literally being pushed to the very limit by everybody around him. And his boss is a total dick by cutting all the what's it called, the bonuses, and it just sort of he snaps. Like it's funny, and Chevy Chase nailed it. I mean, he is a comedic. He was a comedic genius for his time. And so it's just everything for me. I watch that as often as I can. I absolutely love that movie. I'm trying to think of like other bad ones that I liked.
I have one that I loved and hated. I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna have to come back around to me. Oh my god, who's the actor that was in Arrested Development? Jason
Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
The Office Christmas Party?
Yes.
That movie.
Yes.
Stupid.
It's not good. But I remember being, little ham sandwiched and laughing. And
ham sandwiched.
Look, call it what it is.
It's not
a
just
stoner movie.
It's not just food. It's just
movie.
It's not just
I've been drinking for this particular one.
Oh,
and
sure.
it was crispy whatever. Take this or that. And I still to this day I still say that what the DJ was like, let's put some peepees in some butts.
So stupid. There's a lot of those dumb ones that exist that I just won't see. And then there's like there's like these timeless, but there's like Hallmark ones, which are just
the Holiday.
That's good.
Which is a good one.
It's a solid movie.
There's one I really like. Actually, I really like is what's it called? Ghosts of Christmas Past. It's like it's a Girlfriends of Christmas Past. It's like a Carol story. It's with what's his name? Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Oh, Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Love it.
It's good. Another classic. It's a retelling.
I will say I love all the episodes from Futurama that they did of Christmas because it was so different. Robo Santa was evil and wanted to fuck you up, and it was fantastic. That whole show is great.
Santa Claus is gunning you down.
Yeah, those are all absolutely fantastic.
I still say Merry Xmas to people, and they're like, "Why are you saying it like that?" I'm like, "Okay, so you're not a Futurama fan. That's all that I heard."
Xmas.
Oh yeah.
Anybody who's watching, chime in. Let us know your favorites, because we're not gonna. I mean, Elf is people's favorites. I love that movie. I didn't for a while because I was very anti Will Ferrell for a long time. But I do very much appreciate Will Ferrell now a lot more.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. It's one of a kind. Of all of the movies, Elf stands out a lot because it really is different from every other movie that you got out there, which is nice, and the fact that they're stealing shots left and right for the beginning of that movie, where anytime you see him walking down the street they're not extras, they're just literally filming, and he almost gets hit by a taxi cab for real, and that's in the movie, and that's absolutely fantastic. So everything, it's Will Ferrell wandering the streets of New York and people being like, what the hell is happening, and them just recording everything and being like, this is golden, and nobody thought this was going to work, and it's 20 plus years old and still some people's absolute favorite classic of a movie. My sister will blare out scenes from that movie, and it's terrifying. Now, what other? I also will say I do watch a lot of the Harry Potters on Christmas because all of them tend to have a Christmas segment in them, and I do love the way that kind of feels, the way it looks, like magical Christmas. Like that's what Christmas should be. It should be magical, and what more magical can you get than Harry frickin' Potter? So that's something I like to watch, although it gets a little more difficult to be a Harry Potter fan these days, but I still enjoy them for what they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton more. We've talked about a lot. Did anybody watch that Guardians movie where they talk about all the holidays and everything?
No.
Where it's like the Easter Bunny and like Santa and like Jack Frost is one of the main characters and it's all animated and they have to like fight off the darkness, who is like sleep or something like that. And
I've heard of
it's
it. I've seen the trailer for it. I don't remember it. I never saw
it's
it.
good. It was pretty good actually. I was shocked. Chris Pine plays Jack Frost, and there's like the Tooth Fairies in it, and it all takes place over holidays. It's good. It's a solid movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But the takeaway for me, the newest stuff, is definitely Klaus. Like we put on a movie to fall asleep, and the last like 4 nights, my wife's been like, "Can we put on Klaus again?" I'm like, "Yeah, go nuts. Like I'll watch that movie."
That's
We
adorable.
we put it on a lot,
Klaus.
and fall asleep to it quite
I
often.
can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Um, do you at home have holiday traditions? Let us know. Tell us in the comments, what do you like to do around the holidays? What do you like to watch? We'd like to try and keep it on brand, but you know, uh, Christmas tradition. Here's one for you. My George can attest to this, and Dan, I think you've seen it. I believe my house around the holidays for 2 weeks turned into a bakery. My mom would make so many cookies, and when we were growing up, it wouldn't just be like, "Oh, make some cookies for me or for the family, and then for our cousins." Literally, I gave out a tin of cookies to every single house on the block. We fed the block cookies, and it was oh my god, there was assembly lines, and I was stabbing cookies with forks, and I was putting sandwich cookies together, and I was rolling out dough, and I was helping with the cook, and I was always eating some as I went, and I was always getting slapped and be like, "Don't eat that," and I'm like, "What the hell do you think I'm gonna do? I'm making cookies." Like, the fuck you mean don't eat that? And like we would always, the chocolate chip cookies, my mom, after like 6 years, she finally was like, "I'm making like 6 extra batches." I'm like, "Yeah, you fucking better," because we would run out. And so some houses just straight didn't get chocolate chip cookies because I'd eat them all before they got in there. And then we wouldn't have any in our house because we had to give out the remaining supply. It became a thing. But we would make them. And my amazing wife is the most amazing, wonderful person. I love her to death. After my mom passed, she went and she reached out to my cousins and my sister and was like, "Let's find whatever recipes we can," because all the recipes got lost. When my mom moved and we destroyed the house, somewhere in some box they were left behind or on some shelf, and it just never made it out of the house. So we couldn't find the exact recipes, but she tracked down some of my favorite cookies. I swear to God, I'm gonna cry talking about this. Some of my favorite cookies, and we made them before we moved out of the house in Austin, and so it was to date like one of my favorite Christmases I've had in my entire life. And Christmas has
Aw.
not always been a great time. There's been some tragedies in my family around Christmas, but she saved Christmas. And so it's a little sad this year because we don't have any decorations up, but I'm probably going to throw a wreath on the door in our apartment building. So other people
You
have it,
get a
but
mini tree.
we have one. It's a US plug. We don't have any more converters because we're too busy converting our game consoles. And let's be honest, what's the holidays without lounging around playing video games all day long? Nothing.
Indeed.
It's nothing.
Indeed.
So let us know. We want to know your Christmases. I got nothing else. I'm going to wind this down because this was very much so a
Impromptu.
last minute Christmas special. An impromptu Christmas special.
Very impromptu.
So go home, hug your family, buy
Enjoy
the
your
last minute
Christmas.
gifts, drink your eggnog, which is fucking disgusting. Um,
I've never had it.
hang your mistletoes, decorate your trees, leave some milk and cookies out for the old Santa Claus, and have a happy holidays. And you know what? Even if you're not if you don't celebrate Christmas, have a happy Hanukkah. Enjoy the holidays. I'm not PC. I'm gonna say Merry Christmas. Fuck you. I don't care. Merry Christmas to everybody. I love all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful time. And if you haven't, I don't. Fuck it. This is not the show for you. This is for a good time.
For happy atheist kids get presents day.
Yeah. Happy Shiny Lights Day.
It's more of a
If you've been-
spirit.
Yeah, it is a Festivus for the rest of us.
There you go. There you go.
If you've had a good time, we have been the Modern Nerd, and thank you for watching.